Thanks for clicking on Total Harmonic Distortion channel. Today we're going to look at the Neunaber Immerse Reverb Pedal. This pedal features 8 algorithms that's controlled by the center control, and there's a mix and a depth control, as well as 2 controls that vary depending on the algorithm. And there's a stereo input and a stereo output. First, let's take a look at the echo effect that's currently running. Moving the delay tab and increasing the FFT size. First, we'll move into the original impulse. It looks like this effect has an analog bypass control, and it can be fully disabled with the mix all the way up. So there's an analog bypass, but there's a volume circuit in there. The delay ranges from 32.9 milliseconds to 689 milliseconds. We'll zoom out a little bit and look at the smaller case. There's a depth control, which controls the feedback of the device, and there's also on this thing a blend control, which appears to be some sort of a diffusion control. Let's take a look at the frequency response of the echo device itself. By moving the mix all the way up, we remove the initial echo, and we only see the output of the device itself, which gives us about a 16 kilohertz bandwidth, which is probably running at a 32 kilohertz sampling rate. Next, we'll take a look at the spring reverb algorithm. The depth control on this controls the length of the reverb trails, and it seems like it goes well beyond the 2 seconds that I'm currently measuring. But we'll zoom it out to the minimum, and we'll take a closer look at the divot itself. And we can do that by changing the FFT size to something smaller. And let's zoom out a little bit to speed it up. FFT size 1K. Okay, looking at this, you can see the delays of the springs. This 4K divot here in the group delay is pretty typical for spring algorithms. Normal springs do this. They don't have a frequency response up to 16K, so a real spring will cut off the frequency down here a little bit more. But that's it. We'll play around with what I think is the tone control, and you can see there's more higher frequencies. It's represented by red in this particular graph. Let's take a closer look even in this. So now I can start to distinguish between separate delays in there. So it looks like it just hits a delay and then another delay and another delay, and this all sort of creams together into this sort of an effect at the end. Okay, let's take a look at the wet reverb next. On the same thing, we're seeing a lot of small delays in there, not too much dispersion. And this one actually controls a pre-delay on this. And the pre-delay looks like it goes from about 5 milliseconds to maybe 24 on the pre-delay. Let's zoom out so we can get a better look at the trails on this one. About 2 seconds. Okay, that looks like nice dispersed kind of a reverb. Once again, this looks like a tone control here. And we'll mix in a little bit of the initial attack just so we can see it. Okay, that's it for the wet reverb algorithm. I believe that's a custom algorithm that they made themselves. I believe this is a spin semi-chip on this particular device, and I have to admit this is probably the best reverbs I've ever heard out of that particular chip. But anyways, let's move over to the noise test and see what we see there. Alright. Seeing a little bit of a peak in the low frequencies still. Move around the cabling. Alright, turn this off. And it somewhat goes away. But we're still seeing a little bit of rumble on the low frequencies and something maybe at 60 hertz. Let's switch over to battery and see if the 60 hertz goes away. Switching over to battery power. Well, that's odd. We still have something at 60 hertz. Pretty much the low frequency rumble went away, but we're still seeing the 60 hertz hum. Just as a sanity check, let me try something with true bypass and see if that helps. Okay, the 60 hertz goes away with the true bypass. That's a really odd behavior. I'm seeing the 60 hertz hum running off of the battery power. Okay, well, it's still pretty buried in the mix, so you're not going to hear it too much, but something to be aware of. And it is not controlled by the mix whatsoever. We're in bypass mode. And when the device is turned on, yeah, it's pretty much the same. Okay, I guess it's time to go over to browser mode and see what these things go for. Okay, looks like there's currently a sale. It's Thanksgiving. It's almost Thanksgiving here, so there's $50 off. So normally these go for $249 used or new, and they're now going for $199. Direct from Neunaber Audio website. Pre-owned is $210, so it's best to buy a new one right now. That's all I have for this video, and please subscribe.